Hey everyone, it's officially Halloween crafting time. So in today's video, we are making a Halloween themed shirt for the season. We're going to be using printable iron-on, and it has been about a year and a half since I've used this material. So I will share the tips and tricks that I learned along the way, of course. But nevertheless, the shirt turned out super cute. I love this, and it's giving a lot of peace signs, which is something that I used to do in pictures because I didn't know what to do with my hands. So it was fitting for my personality. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. All right, guys, so to begin, I've got the printable iron-on for dark fabrics by Cricut. I also have the one for light fabrics, so I wanted to show you that they do look different, if you were curious. So this is the one for dark fabrics. It's got a QR code and it says the printable iron-on for dark fabrics. But the light one feels more like paper, and the backing has the Cricut logo and the stitching. So they do appear different, and they also feel different as well. So be sure to use the right product for what you're working with. I've got my garment here. This is an inexpensive shirt from Walmart. It was on sale for 99 cents. I actually just made a tutorial using the Shadow Puff from Hobby Lobby, and I used the same t-shirt. So we are using it again for a new shirt. I have my measuring tape here, and what I like to do with this is just to simply use this as a visual. What I like to do is lay it out across the chest area where I'm going to place the design, and 6 inches appears to be a little too narrow, so then I look at the 7 and 8 and so on and so forth, and I think I want to keep the design around 6.5 to 7 inches. I think if it's too much wider, it's going to end up going into the armpit area. So again, just as a visual, and that is how I like to kind of roughly size my designs before we get into design space. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to load this in my printer in the correct way. I have to load it this way down so it rolls through and prints on the correct side. And then we will jump in Cricut Design Space and size our design and get it printed off. So here we are in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click on New Project and Blank Canvas, so we can go to the canvas and then look through the images that I have saved. So the images is already popped up as a default. I'm going to type in, let's actually go down to advanced search here so I can click on my bookmarked items. I'm going to search for Halloween bookmark items and see what I can find. Okay, this is the design that I want to use. How cute is this? I can't believe I found this in Design Space. So let's go ahead and add this to the canvas. I'm going to click on View. And once again, we are in the canvas. I'm going to collapse this so we have got more space here. And now let's go ahead and size it. Like I said, I want to keep it between 6.5 and 7 inches wide. And I want to add a offset to this as well. So right now it's 6.61 by 6.48. And I think that that's a decent size, but we are going to add an offset to this as well. But first, let's go ahead and change this to a print then cut. So we are going to change the operation by clicking on this drop down and switching this to a print then cut file. And then let's add the offset, which is going to be a border or a base layer for your design. So I want the Cricut machine to cut out along the outside of this design here. So I'm going to use an offset layer to create that border. And I'm just toggling the cursor over to minimize the offset layer. Okay, I think I like how much offset is there. So I'm going to click apply. And as a default, it is a dark gray. Let's go ahead and make some changes here. What I want to do is fill in all of this white space because I don't want the Cricut machine to cut that out. I want the Cricut machine to cut along this outside edge only. So I need to fill this area in. So the image is selected, so I'm going to click on contour, and all of the areas that are dark or the darker areas I'm going to click on. And you'll be able to see it change in the canvas as well. So now you can see that it's grayed out in the canvas. So the Cricut's not going to cut that area out. So I'm going to continue along, selecting all the areas that I want to be filled in. Okay, all the pieces seem to be selected. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. And now I can see that it is all filled in with that gray offset layer. Now everything that's on this screen is going to print off like this, and I don't want it to be this dark, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this color box here for the offset so I can alter the color. This is a white offset, which I think is a little too stark white for our charcoal colored shirt. So I'm going to play with some of these pinks here. Let's click on this pink and then go to advanced and then toggle into this lighter colors. Okay, I think I like how this looks. You can also change the color of your canvas. Let's change it to a gray so you can better see your design. So our design is a print then cut. It is sized accordingly. We've got our offset layer as a print then cut as well, verifying that in the layers panel. We have one more step to do, which is to flatten our design. So I'm going to make sure that both of my layers are selected, and you can verify that in the layers panel as well because they are both highlighted. And now I'm going to select flatten. And that is the last step for the print then cut process on this screen. So let's go ahead and click on make it. And here you can see the design, and this screen is just mimicking your Cricut cutting mat and your printable material and where your design is going to be printed on that material. It has to be within this red cuttable area here, but you can move this around on this screen if you want. You do not need to mirror this, even though it is an iron-on project. Per the instructions, no mirror is necessary. So let's go ahead and click on continue. And we need to send this to our printer, and it's going to be printed off just like this with the added sensor marks, and the sensor marks are going to help the Cricut machine cut this out. So let's click on next. I'm going to keep bleed on, and I'm going to click on use system dialog, and I'm using a standard inkjet printer. You cannot use a laser printer with this. You have to use a inkjet printer. I'm going to go ahead and click on print, and because the use system dialog is selected, my preferences is going to pop up here, so I'm able to change the quality of the print from standard to high. And I'm going to select OK. I've already loaded my printer with the printable iron-on, so I'm going to go ahead and select print, and then we'll switch over to the overhead camera, and I'll show you how it printed off, and then we'll get it cut out with the Cricut machine. So I have my laptop here. I can just detach my screen. It's a Microsoft Surface Book. I just wanted to note that it is really important for you to test print and test cut on regular copy paper. This is our design printed on our printable iron-on material. So this is the printable side. The side with the QR code is the back side. So notate that as well. But this is the test print. My printer needed a cleaning, so I didn't waste any material because I did a test print and then also a test cut. It's the same process. You just place your copy paper on your mat and run it through your machine just to ensure that you selected all of the right areas when you were contouring the offset. So all of this is trash, but it was a great test. So now let's go ahead and prep our mat. I'm going to remove the protective film, and I'm going to place my printable iron-on material within the grids on the cutting mat and bring in my brayer tool here to make sure that this is really pressed down. And it's also important to make sure that you let this set for a couple of minutes to ensure that the ink is dry. You don't want any smudging of your ink, and it's also good to use this as well so you don't get oils on your printable material. So now we need to select the material so we can load our machine. I'm going to look through the iron-on, and it's got a printable iron-on for dark, so I'm going to go ahead and select that and select done. And now our Cricut Joy Xtra is ready for us to load our mat into the machine. And the first thing it's going to do is just make sure that the mat is aligned, and then it'll prompt us to select go on the computer, and it'll cut out the design. All right, I'm going to select go for the cutting process. The cutting is done, so I'm going to press unload on my laptop, and now I'm going to turn my mat over, bending my mat away from the material. Be sure that your work surface is clean so you don't stain your iron-on material. And now what I need to do is remove all of the excess here. Oh no, excuse me. What I need to do is remove the design, and I need to do this very carefully. But I'm supposed to be able to peel back the design from its backer, but it's a flexible material, so you want to be very careful because you don't want to stretch it. So just work with your material and go slow. Everything seemed to cut out really well. Uh-oh. It sticks back to its backer. But there's a part of the design that didn't seem to cut out as well. It needed a little help around this area here. But this is our design, and it's textured, and this side is a shiny, glossy kind of material. It feels plasticky, but this is now trash. So let's go ahead and bring in our heat press mat to protect our surface and our shirt. Now, a couple things. I used the QR code on this material, and it says allow 48 hours after application before washing, but you also need to pre-wash and dry your garment before ironing on. And then it says wash inside out in cold water and then hang to dry. Do not bleach and do not use an iron after it's ironed on, of course. So now I'm going to go to Cricut Heat Guide. There's a link here, and I'm going to select my Cricut Easy Press, and then we need to select our material, which is the printable iron-on for dark fabrics. They've got one for dark and light on here. And then our material is 100% cotton, I think. Let me double check. No, it's polyester. So I'm going to click on polyester, and then I'm going to select apply, and it's going to give me the temperature and time settings, and it also says firm pressure. So I need to turn on my heat press to 315. So now it needs to heat up to 315 degrees, and then we will press it for 30 seconds with firm pressure. And while that's heating up, I need to prep my surface with a lint roller, and then once this is heated up, we will prep our shirt with some heat for about 5 to 10 seconds as well, and then we will press our design on. So I brought in my measuring tape to make sure that it is centered, and it is. Just making sure that it is straight as well. And now I'm going to bring in my butcher paper that is going to protect my heat press, and I'm going to bring in my heat press and lay it down and sit here with firm pressure for 30 seconds. Okay, so it's been 30 seconds, and our design is ironed down, and there's a crease in it, and the color's changed too. I'm not sure. Okay, so my butcher paper had wrinkles in it, so that affected the iron-on. That will probably just end up coming out. It's probably just a wrinkle, I hope. So be wary of that. If it's wrinkled, I would toss it and just get a fresh sheet. I wasn't expecting the colors to kind of dull down and change, but they did. So he alters the color as well, so it's not as pink and playful. It's more fallish colors now, honestly, because the ghost is kind of more yellow. And this, that was kind of pink, is more white. So here is the original design, and you can see how the colors have changed, how it's more yellow instead of pink. You can see it in the Halloween as well. Okay, so once again, a couple takeaways. Heat alters the color. You need firm pressure. You need to pre-wash your garment. It also says that polyester material works better with the printable iron-on, so bear that in mind as well. No more wrinkles in the butcher paper. I do have a little ink missing from the butcher paper being damaged down in the corner. So a few lessons learned from this. I'm really bummed at how the color changed so drastically, and I wish the camera was picking it up. I may post a picture on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram by checking the description box, and also check the description box for the tools and supplies and the design information as well. And that's a wrap, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next Card of Craft. Bye, everyone.